Guys, gals, friends, family, Steve Patton with General Patton Bushcraft, back with you with another super exciting video. Today's video is the recap of Alone Australia. This is season 1, episode 2, titled Fired Up. Stay tuned. All right, friends, you know every show starts with the famous quote, and season 1, episode 2 of Alone Australia, titled Fired Up, has a quote from Stephen King. Quote, "There is no harm in hoping for the best as long as you are prepared for the worst." All right, friends, I want to apologize for the wind chimes. We got a little bit of activity from Hurricane Hillary. I'm here in Arizona. We have no rain, but it's a little bit windy. So bear with me. All right, the show starts on day 2. 10 people remain, and this is on the west coast of Tasmania. This is that little island right on the southern tip of Australia, and the show goes to Rob. He's 41 years old from Victoria, Australia, and says he's had a dingo's breakfast. Dingo's breakfast is a drink of water and a look around. Friends, Rob's not doing good. You know he wasn't doing good last show. He's crying, sitting on a log looking at a family picture and thinking about tapping out. And oh my friends, it's only day 2, and oh wow, here comes the extraction team coming to pick up Rob as he taps out. All right, friends, the show keeps on moving. It's day 2, 7:55 a.m. 9 people remain now, and the show goes over to Gina. She's 52 years old from New South Wales, Australia, and she's sitting soaking up some sun, and she tells us her number 1 priority is to find a permanent shelter location. And she kind of makes some funniness there. She says she's got so fat that she has to rock to get up off of the log, friends. Now Gina put on an extra 19 kilograms or 42 pounds for the show. Fat, she says, is her most important survival strategy. 42 pounds equals about 150,000 calories to the body's reserves. She looks around for a good location away from all the gum trees that are dropping branches for her future permanent shelter. Okay, friends, 10 kilometers away, day 2 now. It's still day 2, 8:06 in the morning, and the show goes over to Mike. He's 45 years old from New South Wales, Australia, and shows us the rain runoff into a rubber boot for drinking water for the day. He has a big old drink of that full boot of water. He's a former military pilot, and his strategy is to procure food above all else. Says his temporary tarp shelter is good for 100 days. Also, he tells us he has no need for a fireplace yet. Okay, friends, still day 2, 9:12 a.m., and the show goes over to Beck. She's 42 years old from Victoria, Australia, and it rained all night, friends. Everything is wet. She says she's in a bit of a funk. She said that she should have had a fire under her tarp, but she didn't want to melt it, so she did not. But she did not want to, she wants to move that shelter to a better spot, and the forest around her area is very, very dense. All right, friends, the show goes over to Jimmy now. He's that young lad, 22 years old, from South Australia. He starts a fire and cuts a little bit of firewood, and he tells us he's super excited to start fishing, but he's feeling sick, friends. Hot and cold, hot and cold. He's got the chills, and then he's hot, and he slips and slides down the muddy bank to go fishing. The show breaks away 9.8 kilometers over to Chris. It's 10:04 in the morning, and Chris is 39 years old from Tasmania, Australia, and he makes a fishing pole. He wants to get some fishing in, friends, and we learned that he chose barbless hooks as one of his 10 items. He puts a cricket on the end of one of those hooks, gets down to that muddy bank to do some fishing. All right, friends, 8.7 kilometers away now. It's 10:31 in the morning, and the show goes over to Peter. He's 31 years old from New South Wales, Australia, And he shows us his face, friends, up close. This, friends, he's looking on his face, looking for mud and stuff. His face looks pretty clean, but he shows us his temporary shelter. Not doing good, friends. His temporary tarp shelter leaked last night during the rain, and everything is soaking wet, friends. All of his clothes are soaked. So he assesses the situation and he starts all over and restrings that tarp. All right, friends, 9.6 kilometers away, 11:47 in the morning, and back over to Beck. Wet and rainy, and she's in her shelter, friends, underneath her tarp, preparing fire materials, trying to get a bird's nest going, and some she can't find very much dry stuff. Everything is soaking wet. She tries to get a fire going with her ferro rod. She can't do it. Gets frustrated, gets up, goes for a walk, and comes back. Friends, she starts the fire and she just looks like her skill level's not very good. Looks like she smothers that fire out after she gets it going. Oh man. Friends, she's not doing well, super frustrated. And here comes the extraction team on day 2 as Beck taps out. All right, friends, it's still day 2. It's about 12:30 in the afternoon. And Gina, she found a good spot for a new permanent shelter. We see her cut down some poles for that shelter. She makes 2 tripods, opens them up, and she's going to have one log as a ridge beam connecting those 2 tripods. So good on Gina. She's looking strong. All right, friends, 10 kilometers away, day 2 still, 1:30 in the afternoon. The show goes back over to Mike. And he's down there at that muddy water's edge, foraging for bait. He's looking for bugs in these submerged logs. He finds some mayfly nymphs, which, you know, the trout love those mayfly nymphs. And the water's edge, friends, is super snaggy. All kinds of snags. So he decides to make a kayak, friends. We see him tying some round or some saplings together in a circular fashion, trying to make some bulkheads for that new kayak. He ties those saplings together, friends, with the inner filament of his paracord. Friends, 8.5 kilometers away, 2:14 p.m. The show goes back over to Peter. He goes for a walk looking for some game. He goes down looking at his muddy tracks. He's trying to find some animal tracks that might have walked over his tracks. He does see some pad melon tracks. And for those of us in the U.S. that might not know what the pad melon is, they're in the same category as those wallabies and those kangaroo. This pad melon looks like a little tiny kangaroo, friends. So he decides to go hunting inland, hikes inland, looking for tracks, looking for a game trail. He can't find anything. Just everything soaking wet, friend. All right, friends, day 2. It's 3 p.m. now. The show goes back over to Jimmy, that youngster, and he's in his shelter, friends, in his sleeping bag, feeling really sick. So he performs that rat on himself. That's that rapid antigen test, friends, for COVID. And I'll be doggone if that test doesn't come up positive. Oh man, and he calls the medical team. They come out and check him out, check his heart rate. His heart's racing. And the medical team pulls him for COVID, friends. All right, it's day 2, 7:52 at night, friends. And already 3 people are gone, only 7 people remain. And the show goes to Peter. It's pitch black. And we got light rain going on, and he's inside his shelter. He's having a hard time finding his head torch, he calls it. It's a headlamp, friends, and he finally finds that thing in the pitch black and the light rain. And that's where the show ends, right there, friends. Season 1, Episode 2, titled Fired Up, of Alone Australia, friends. And that's where my recap ends also. Friends, these alone participants are not looking too good. It looks like the U.S. and Canadian alone participants are far superior than these blokes from Australia. All right, before you leave the channel, please consider subscribing. You can help the channel grow. Bang that bell icon, and in that drop down menu, do select all. That way you get notification when I'm gonna release my next video, friends. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think about these Australian participants of the Alone Show. And as always, give me a like, friends. All right. God is good. God is great. I see y'all on the next video. Already got a date.